Hello, this is Frederick Banker. I do apologize for the lack of videos last week. I was dealing with work at the time, and so this week I'll be making two videos to compensate that. This video is going to be talking about what happened in Iran and what I feel about it, and what I think is going to happen in the future. First off, what happened in Iran last week was a surgical strike by the United States and Israel against top Iranian leadership, mainly the Ayatollah Khomeini and his family. And though I'm pretty sure most Americans didn't want it to get this bad, but at some point, sometimes war can be inevitable, and hopefully this won't turn into an all-out war like we had in Iraq and Afghanistan, and this just turns into just what happened against Iran during 2025 or 2019. That this is just surgical strikes meant to send the Iranian government a message that we're not going to let you undermine the country or continue to use your proxies in Hezbollah and elsewhere to cause the amount of damage through terrorist attacks that you've been doing over nearly 5 decades. Because this war wasn't unprovoked, as some people will say, because Iran has been at war with America more or less over the course of 47 years. The chant "Death to America" isn't just a symbol, it isn't just a slogan, it is emblematic of the Iranian government and what they've been trying to do over nearly 5 decades. When you have a nation that plans to undermine another nation, then it either ends up with one or the other winning or one or the other stepping down, and America and Iran chose the latter, and America is showing the consequences of Iran's foreign policy of undermining American influence and America in general, trying to take down the nation as a whole. And though, like I said, I did not want it to get this bad, I do think that this was one of the options that was going to happen, or this was one of the scenarios that was going to happen, due to how adamant Iran, and to a lesser extent America under the Trump administration, are with keeping their interests intact. Now, what do I think is going to happen going forward? Well, much like I've heard this morning, there's going to be continued attacks, and there's going to be continued airstrikes against the Iranian military and political leadership. But I think after all that, I do believe that there will be a time when the Iranian people can stand up and get the government they want. Now, whether or not this will be the case, we'll just have to see. We'll have to see if anyone will keep their word. That's always going to be something that I'll remain skeptical on. But we can remain hopeful in the fact that the Iran of tomorrow will be better than the Iran of yesterday. And hopefully we can see there be peace in terms of not having as many terrorist organizations coming from the Middle East due to Iran's funding of Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations throughout the world. And that's something that I think not a whole lot of people are talking about, is how Iran is basically was the mothership of these terrorist organizations. This is where Iran is where they got their money, where they got their weapons, where they got their ideas, their fanaticism. And so it was only a matter of time when someone would stand up to Iran and basically show them a taste of their own medicine. It reminds me much of what happened during the 1800s, when the United States, much like everyone else in Europe and the Atlantic, was dealing with a nation called the Barbary States, which was in North Africa at the time. And the Barbary pirates would basically capture and enslave sailors, European and now American slavers, and the Barbary States demanded tribute by the United States, and the United States refused, and so went to war with the Barbary States when nobody else would. And this caused the Barbary States to kind of cease, or for lack of a better word, be at a weakened state, considering the fact that they were humbled by the American military and the formation of the what would become the American Marines, or the U.S. Marines. At the end of the day, when it comes to it, Americans do not want war, but if war does come at their doorstep, or if people try to push America to that edge, then there's a good chance that America will cross that line. And as I could say for the Americans of today, we don't want a war. We want to live a relatively peaceful life, but at the same time, you can't really live that when you have a state that's propagating the death of your nation, the death of your people, the death of your way of life, and expect there to be no pushback, especially if you're going to do it throughout the decades, and especially if you're going to fund terrorist organizations to terrorize and murder not only our troops, but the troops of our allies as well. Hopefully things will get better in Iran and the Middle East, and hopefully we can live past the Islamic regime of Iran. What do you guys think? Do you think things will get better, or do you think things will get to sort of like the same old, same old? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay blessed.